Hello everybody, welcome to Nature's People. Thank you for tuning in. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is are white Americans racist against black Americans, or is there a bias or a prejudice towards black Americans in America, a perspective from a foreigner? All right, I think many of you guys can tell from my accent that I'm not born and raised in an American society, but that's not the topic of the conversation. What I want to emphasize and tell here is what were my experiences in general. Talk about what I've experienced being in America and in several states, having encountered with white Americans. Right, getting right into it. First and foremost, I have to say that I don't know if this is due to segregation or like different living regions of both white Americans, black Americans, as well as Latinos and the other Asian Americans and all these other communities are in America. Because of the rate of convenience, I think that is the cause. I don't think there's any racial causation for the differences in regions, because certain parts you could move and realize that people have a tendency of sort of living with each race. So that's an interesting thing. But I think it's most of convenience, because I've also noticed that for instance, people from the Middle East also have their communities, like the Arab community. They have the Arab community, you have the Indian community, you have the South Asian community, Pakistani. So it goes, and it wouldn't be different to talk about the African Americans. Well, now getting deeper into the video, now I have to describe and explain what were my personal experiences encountering and engaging personally with African Americans in general. For me, honestly, white Americans, sorry. For me, honestly, I think white Americans gave me the best experience ever, pretty much. That is because I sort of felt that there was a common aspect of my thought process as far as the way people think, what they think about. Okay, I'm going to be more descriptive and explanatory as far as what I mean in detail. So, okay, saying that, I mean, for example, we talk about politics. There are many people that like politics. I like mostly economics and diversity and inclusivity and things like research, science. Not to say that African Americans don't talk about these topics. There are many African Americans that talk about this topic, and I also myself have a tendency of talking about these topics. However, I did find in general that white Americans were more enthusiastic and more engaged in knowing, for instance, where I was coming from, what was the climate there, how was the mindset, the living systems, the customs and whatnot. So it's just a tendency of human beings to have a desire for knowledge and know-how and things in general. Now, diving deeper in what I mean by my video is racism, right? Because that's why you guys tuned in. It's basically racism. Well, I've seen in general that most in certain regions, not all regions, I've seen that most people who tend to have enrollment or take charge of policing or police officer jobs in some regions were white people, and other people were black people, in other regions were Hispanics. But I've been stopped several times with a friend of mine due to reckless driving, right? That was reckless driving, no doubt, undoubtedly. And one of the things I've noticed in particular was that all officers treated us well, and certain people who drive have, and the police encounters I had in America were uniquely due to driving. It was due to reckless driving, like stoppage and being stopped for a certain reason. So it was entirely due to reckless driving. And I didn't feel, I don't think there's any problem as far as policing is concerned. In certain regions of the world, there's no much policing in the society. However, I did notice that in the US, it was particularly due to substance abuse and driving. And it's a society where, everything is easy and convenient. However, in search or in trying to find manners of avoiding accidents and problems in the roads, because you're losing lives if people are consuming substances and going on the road. So everything seems very convenient in America, very convenient, getting a car, getting a job, getting, prospering. However, when it comes to things that risk lives, such like parks like this, in this park where I am, this is a park of children. You guys can see the wing. It's a park of children. So one of the things you notice in these other regions of the world is that there's no policing. It's the level of security and the degree of cases concerning, say, child, I don't know, whatever that has concerns, like the safety of kids. And here where I am, it's not that much of a big problem. So I come to shoot here, there's no problem. However, in the US, you do notice that there is police walking around to safeguard that. So it's just a term of priority. So racism, me personally, I didn't face any racism. And I don't think there's much prejudice and towards black people. However, I have to emphasize this. The mental sanity of certain people, it's undoubtable and it's unknown. Certain people carry rage, carry anger and hatred inside their hearts. Some for racial reasons, some for, any reasons. You can go out there and see about these shootings against black people. It happens. The world is not perfect. Not all white people will be good. Not all black people will be good. Not all Asian people or Hispanic people will be good and fine. However, I have to say this: the rate of occurrence and the rate of cases is really low, and that's a really positive thing. Now, diving deeper in what I want to say is that, for instance, in certain regions in the US, you don't find that there are certain people who enroll as white, for example, to be police officers just to make the life of other races hard, and just to spread that hate, that personal mindset that they built inside their minds to, for these other races to pay back. Because some of these people might think that they are the only people that deserve to be Americans, and they're the only people who really own the country and whatnot. They build the country. But the thing is that the general mindset of the people who govern the country, the government, the politicians, they don't think like that, and that's very positive, and that makes life of all these other people nice and convenient. So on a person-to-person basis, I've not experienced racism. I've not felt, because there's one thing about racism and bias and prejudice is certain people may interact with you, but honestly, they just interact for convenience. However, you can feel that deep inside they got something going on. And as I mentioned in my previous video about racism, if you've not watched, I will keep that in the description below so that you go check it out. Most of the people I've noticed that had this prejudice, bias and whatnot, had an ongoing either mental issue, problems, just an unstable state of mind. And that just justifies the way people think. So I don't judge certain people, such people. It's just a moment of their lives that they're going through, and if they